Lisa Robin and welcome to ST Global News. From the tragic murder of an Indian origin Catholic priest in Kansas to the conversion of a Buddhist devotee after a miraculous healing from polycystic kidney disease, we have many stories to cover. Father Arul, an Indian origin Catholic priest who had faithfully served in Kansas for over 2 decades, was tragically shot and killed on April 3rd at Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church in Seneca. An elderly suspect is in custody, though the motive behind the fatal shooting remains unknown. Father Arul, an Indian origin Catholic priest serving in the United States at Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church in Seneca, Kansas, was fatally shot on April 3rd. An unknown elderly man shot Father Karashala thrice at the rectory of the church, and he died shortly after at the local hospital. The suspected shooter is reportedly in custody, but no information is available regarding the motive behind the murder. In a Facebook post, Archbishop Joseph F. Naumann of the Archdiocese of Kansas City in Kansas stated, quote, "The senseless act of violence has left us grieving the loss of a beloved priest, leader, and friend. Father Karashala was a devoted and zealous pastor who faithfully served our Archdiocese for over 20 years. His love for Christ and his church was evident in how he ministered to his people with great generosity and care." End quote. The Archbishop said that there was no ongoing threat to the community, but that he recognized the pain and shock the priest's death had brought to the community. The Knights of Columbus led a rosary at 6 p.m. at Saints Peter and Paul Parish in Seneca, and a Mass was celebrated at 7:30 p.m. by Archbishop Naumann for the repose of the soul. Father Arul hails from southeastern India, where he was ordained in 1994 at the Diocese of Kadapa, Hyderabad, in the present-day Indian state of Telangana. He began serving in Kansas in 2004 after being invited by Archbishop James P. Kelleher. He became the pastor of Saints Peter and Paul Church in July 2011. The same year, Father Karashala became a U.S. citizen at a ceremony in Topeka, Kansas. China's new religious regulations severely restrict foreign missionary activities, making it difficult to spread the word of the Lord. According to the rules, collective religious activities organized by foreigners in China are limited to foreign participants only, with few exceptions. Additionally, only Chinese clergy are permitted to preside over religious activities for foreigners at government-approved churches and temples.
China's United Front has introduced a new restrictions to ban foreign clergy from presiding over religious activities for Chinese people without the invitation of the Chinese government. This severely limits foreign missionary activity in the country. According to regulations which will go on effect on May 1st, collective religious activities organized by foreigners in China are restricted to foreign participants only. Titled Rules for Implementation of the Provisions and the Administration of Religious Activities of Foreigners in the People's Republic of China, the regulations further states that only Chinese clergy should preside over religious activities for foreigners at government-approved churches and temples. The restrictions apply to individuals of all faith, strictly prohibiting non-Chinese citizens residing in the country from establishing religious organizations, preaching without authorization, founding religious schools, producing or selling religious books, accepting religious donations, or recruiting Chinese citizens as religious followers. Published on April 1st by the National Religious Affairs Administration, a branch of the United Front Work Department, the new regulations consist of 38 articles that impose limits on foreign nationals' ability to organize religious activities in China. The regulations state that foreign religious clergy who enter China with a religious status may only preach if invited by one of the state-run national religious organizations and approved by the United Front's Religious Affairs Administration. Additionally, those granted permission must also ensure that the content of their preaching does not interfere with China's religious affairs.
Catholic pro-life activist Savannah Craven Antar was assaulted by an abortion supporter in New York City in the middle of an interview. The abortion supporter, whom Savannah was talking with, suddenly became enraged and began punching her, knocking her to the ground. Savannah was taken to the hospital and is now safe, receiving the necessary support.
Savannah Craven-Antau, a pro-life advocate working with Live Action, was assaulted by an abortion supporter in New York City while interviewing passerby. Savannah and her husband, Henry Antau, were recording interviews in Harlem, New York, when the attack occurred. She was asking people if they knew what Planned Parenthood does. An abortion supporter whom Savannah was talking with suddenly became enraged and began punching her, knocking her to the ground. Savannah's husband intervened to prevent further attacks and called 911. The police were provided with the assailant's photo and description. Savannah was taken to the hospital to treat her facial injuries. Live Action president and founder Leela Rue stated in a press release, quote, "Savannah's bravery in the face of violence is heroic. We are grateful she is safe and receiving support. No one should ever face physical assault for expressing their views in public." She continued, "We will not be intimidated. Live Action will continue our goal to defend Planned Parenthood, which kills over 1,000 babies every day while receiving more than $700 million in taxpayer funding." End quote. Live Action is a human rights non-profit organization which was started by Leela Rose when she was just 15 years old. Live Action is a digital leader of a global pro-life movement with over 7 million social media followers. Since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June 2022, abortion supporters have increased attacks against pro-life activists and pro-life organizations.
Amid escalating gang violence in Haiti, two Catholic nuns, Sister Evenet Oneze and Sister Jean Voltaire of the Order of St. Teresa, were tragically killed on March 31st while fleeing from violent gangs. The town of Miraculous was overrun by armed gangs who also attacked the local prison, freeing hundreds of inmates. Their deaths have sparked grief and outrage within the Catholic Church, with Archbishop Max Leroy Messidor condemning the violence and describing the current crisis as one of the darkest moments in Haiti's history. Two Catholic nuns, Sister Evenet Oneze and Sister Jean Voltaire of the Order of St. Teresa, was killed on Monday, March 31st amid the ongoing wave of gang violence that has destabilized Haiti. The two sisters were serving at Miraculous National School in central Haiti. Armed gangs stormed the town of Miraculous, which has been overrun since Monday, and also attacked the local prison, freeing around 500 inmates. The nuns had sought refuge in a house when gang members entered and killed them, along with two lay collaborators who were present. Archbishop Max Leroy Messidor of Port-au-Prince condemned the attack, calling the death of the sisters an immense loss to the community. In a letter addressed to the consecrated men and women of the Archdiocese, the Archbishop wrote that the nation is experiencing one of the worst moments in our history as a people. He also expressed his spiritual closeness and moral support to all, especially the direct victims of the violence. Speaking to Alatea, Archbishop Messidor shared that 28 parishes in the Archdiocese are currently closed and about 40 others are operating at a minimum capacity due to gang control over neighborhoods. He described this Lent as a true ordeal, noting that priests have been forced to flee and the Archdiocese is under severe strain. The violence is largely driven by armed groups united under a coalition known as Vive Ensemble, which emerged following the power vacuum created by the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in July 2021. The transitional leadership, along with the United Nations-backed multinational security support mission led by Kenyan police, has so far failed to suppress the gangs or restore democratic governance. According to the United Nations, at least 5,600 Haitians were killed due to gang violence by the end of 2024, and over 1 million people have been displaced. In response to the growing insecurity, thousands of Haitians took to the streets of Port-au-Prince on Wednesday to protest the government's inability to protect citizens and maintain order. Protesters accused the government of widespread corruption and collusion with armed gangs, claims that the government has firmly denied. On March 29th, fans of the Cracovia football team raised a giant tifo in tribute to St. John Paul II ahead of the 20th anniversary of his death. During the match, the fans unveiled a banner that read, "Holy Father, your Cracovia remembers you," expressing their deep love and respect for the saint.
The entire bill commemorated the 20th anniversary of Saint Pope John Paul II's death, with the Vatican holding a mass and a special prayer vigil on April 2nd at St. Peter's Basilica. The supporters of Cracovia Football Club paid tribute to their favorite pope by raising a tifo of Saint Pope John Paul II receiving their number 1 jersey in the middle of the game. Well, Saint John Paul II was someone who loved football and was said to have been goalkeeper in his youth in Poland and was a passionate supporter of Cracovia Krakow. When the news of his passing at 9:37 p.m. on April 2, 2005 reached Poland, the entire nation went to mourning, prompting the cancellation of all Ekstraklasa matches that weekend. Cracovia, his beloved team, was deeply affected by his passing. The club had visited the Vatican twice, first in 1996 during Cracovia's 90th anniversary, when St. John Paul II received the club's memorabilia and a lifetime season ticket, and again in January 2005 when the seriously ill Pope granted them a private audience and they presented St. John Paul II with the team's jersey with the name Karol Wojtyla, translated as Story of a Man Who Became Pope. Cracovia later reserved the number 1 jersey for him in 2005 and organized a charity match upon his canonization 13 years later. During a recent match against Pucka Niepomica, fans unveiled a banner that read, "Holy Father, your Cracovia remembers you," reflecting the love and respect felt for the saint. This sentiment was also echoed in a social media post on April 2, 2025, highlighting the club's lasting tribute to the Pope. The club secured a 3-1 victory in the match.
Netflix is reportedly in talks to cast a woman, possibly Meryl Streep, as Aslan, the Christ-like lion in the Chronicles of Narnia. The decision has sparked backlash among Christian audiences who see the gender swap as a disrespectful move against the spiritual symbolism of the character. Aslan, widely interpreted as a representation of Jesus Christ, was originally voiced by Liam Neeson in the 2000s film adaptations. Nexus Point News has reported that Netflix has offered Academy Award-winning actress Meryl Streep the role of Aslan, the central character in C.S. Lewis's fantasy children's book series, The Chronicles of Narnia. The Chronicles of Narnia, beyond being a beloved children's series, is known for its rich Christian allegories and its power to illuminate spiritual truths. The character of Aslan, the great lion, serves as an allegorical representation of Christ, a fact confirmed by Lewis himself in a 1954 letter to a 5th-grade American girl named Hela. In that letter, the author of Mere Christianity wrote, quote, "The whole Narnian story is about Christ," end quote. Aslan was previously voiced by Liam Neeson in Disney's adaptation of the series, released in 2005, 2008, and 2010. Netflix's reported decision to cast a woman in the role of Aslan for its upcoming Greta Gerwig-directed adaptation has sparked significant backlash. One user on X commented, "If this goes through, this will be yet another example of Hollywood spitting on Christianity." Netflix first announced its acquisition of the rights to produce new Narnia films in 2018. Greta Gerwig was confirmed as director and screenwriter in 2020. The first film is reportedly scheduled for theatrical release on Thanksgiving Day 2026, followed by a Netflix release in December of the same year. The streaming giant has faced criticism in the past for producing content offensive to Christian audiences. In 2019, nearly 2 million people signed a petition opposing the Netflix comedy special, The First Temptation of Christ, which veered into obscene mockery of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Ramyalata, a devout Buddhist, converted to Catholicism after experiencing a miraculous healing. She was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, a rare genetic condition. She turned to Mother Mary and Jesus, praying for divine intervention. A year later, doctors informed her that surgery was no longer necessary and her left kidney, which had completely failed to function, had started working again to some extent. After this healing, Ramyalata decided to receive baptism and embrace Catholicism.
46-year-old Mudiyansalage Ramyalata starts her day after lighting an oil lamp and praying to Mother Mary, her ritual for the past few years. For her, the flickering flame of lamp symbolizes peace, hope, and her deep connection to the divine. Once a devout Buddhist, Remilada is the eldest of 3 children, and she had always held her faith close. In 2006, her world shifted when she married Moses Fernando, a Catholic in Nugambo. Remilada remained a committed Buddhist for 17 years after her marriage, and she never felt pressured by her husband to give up her faith. Their happy life took an unexpected turn when she was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, a rare genetic condition, in November 2022. The doctors recommended surgery to remove her failing left kidney, but her faith, initially rooted in Buddhism, shifted unexpectedly during this critical time. She sought comfort in prayer as some of her friends and a Catholic nun urged her to pray to Mother Mary and Jesus, hoping for a divine intervention. Remilada recalls how the intense pain from her kidney stones led her to turn to Mother Mary, seeking strength and asking to be spared from the suffering. Following additional tests, the doctors told her that there wasn't any need of the surgery. The left kidney, which had completely failed to function, had begun working again to some extent, the hospital told her. That moment in 2023 marked a new chapter in Remilada's life, and she felt a deep calling towards Catholicism. In December 2024, Remilada decided to receive baptism and other sacraments, fully embracing the Catholic faith. Though she used to attend church with her husband and child for the past 17 years, she never received Holy Communion. After baptism, she feared approaching the altar for the first time, but with the loving support of Sister Resica Perisis, a Holy Family nun, and her family, Remilada overcame her fears. Sister Resica, who had been a supporter of Remilada for years, played a crucial role in her spiritual journey. With the backing of Father Anton Renjit, the parish priest of Mother of Purification Church, and other church members, Resica has remained a constant source of guidance and love in Remilada's life. Father Renjit reassured her that with God's support, she would experience even greater miracles. Remilada, her husband, and their 15-year-old child now lead a joyful life, embraced by spirituality and prayer.
That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.